Well, I guess we should get this started. Brian Powell, Byron Farr, Rory Bosio,
Bonjour.
UTMB champion. How does that feel?
Nothing's really set in yet, but I don't know if it ever really will. I had a really fun day on the trails, and it was a good experience. So
Yeah, obviously,
I'm liking that.
You do like the experience and the fun, but
yeah,
I mean, there has to be some enjoyment of the actual performance out there.
Yeah, I get enjoyment seeing how stoked and excited like family and friends and like all the people at the North Face get. It makes me really excited for that kind of thing, and but yeah, so seeing other people's enjoyment out of it is probably more than I get out of it.
If only you would have seen Jess of the North Face spelling out Rory with her body at 5:30 a.m.
Yeah, if only. Yeah, there were some really good spectators yesterday at the race. Yeah, it was very nice.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, that's one of the really cool aspects of the race. We probably talked about it before, but
yeah, this year especially though, because the weather was so nice, like you totally noticed going from Saint Gervais to Lake Contamine was just like continuous people out having like party, because you're running through the neighborhoods there. Mm-hmm. It's like everybody was out. It was pretty cool.
How crazy! I didn't make it to Saint Gervais. How crazy was it?
It was pretty crazy. Did you make it to Lake Contamine?
I was in Lake Contamine.
That seemed pretty crazy. That seemed like a lot of people. That was way more people than I remember last year. Saint Gervais was pretty crazy too.
Yeah. I mean, last year it was like 10 o'clock in the morning.
And it was raining. Yeah. Even then, they still had a lot of spectators, but this year, even more so.
What was it like in the middle of the night? Because you do go over some pretty remote places in the middle of the night.
The weather was pretty ideal. I was warm pretty much the whole night. I didn't put on a top layer until climbing up to Col de Fray. Because up there it was pretty foggy and pretty windy, but other than that, like going over like Bonhomme and stuff, it was perfect. I thought it was pretty nice and beautiful stars out. It was a nice, like, pretty calm night.
You got treated to a perfect night, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't feel that hot as a...
No, I didn't. It was a little hot climbing up Col de Monte at the last
big climb, yeah.
The last big climb, and then you're just kind of feeling gross at that point. And that side of the hill kind of bakes in the sun. It's all that granite. So I made sure to splash myself in the streams before I went up it. But I mean, it was like 75 degrees. It was pretty nice. It was, yeah.
It would have been nice. You would have been happy with that during the evening at Western States.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I never even got that cold.
No.
Especially this year. Yeah, so it was pretty ideal running temperatures, which makes a huge difference because even like 10 degrees one way or another can totally slow things down.
Totally.
So.
I think, aside from performance, aside from the physical aspect of it, mentally, you enjoy a lot more of the run, yeah?
You do. Yeah, it makes it. And like the trail, it hadn't rained the trail was completely dry, which especially in the nighttime running, especially coming down some of those passes where it just looks like a bunch of little animal trails, and you're like, which one do I take? And you're just kind of following the markers. You're like, I see a marker, I need to go there, and everybody's just kind of making their own route down these hills.
I think remember Col de Bonhomme
coming off of that. That's how it is.
Integrated.
It's just find a way down where you're not going to eat it. So,
I don't think you could cut switchbacks because there's like 83 trails.
And at some point they were just kind of like the markers are just kind of haphazard, and you're just like, oh, I'm just going to follow the markers because that's the only way to do it. So yeah.
Yeah. You didn't go out in the lead. You were sort of comfortably, but not. You were with the sort of lead.
Yeah, I didn't. This race starts like. It's way too fast. It's like a sprint through town before you get onto the trail that takes you to Les Ouches, and I just don't see any point of going that fast at the beginning of the race. I mean, I try to keep my heart rate pretty low for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's hard, though, because you're like, well, if I don't get up there and stick with those people, things spread out, and then you're like, well, I'll have no concept of time or where people are, but eventually you're just like, well, no, because, yeah. Have to kind of do your own thing. So.
You are running your own race out there, but was there any point somewhere before the halfway point you were working your way up, and did you take the lead before Courmayeur? Yes, you did. It was on Col de Bonhomme.
Yeah, it's hard to tell in the dark too. I mean, it is, especially like where people are and where other women are, and I'm not really familiar with a lot of the racers over here, so I never really know who's racing or who's in front of me or So it's hard to know where you are.
Did you know before you came into Courmayeur?
I think I knew, yeah, but sometimes I've gotten false information before, like in the dark where you think somebody's a man or you think they're a woman, and so somebody's like, oh, you're in second, you're in first.
Because there are layers and there's
how can you tell? And you have a headlamp on? Like, no. So, yeah, but I try not to, I don't really pay attention to it, so.
Yeah.
Especially at that point, because you're like, the race is not even halfway over, and it's like, so much can change in that many hours.
Did you ever feel like you were racing? Because you kept building a lead that you were never going the other way.
I do have to say, at La Folie, I had my friend and I kind of miscommunicated, and she told me that I thought she said that there was another woman 2 minutes behind me. And that was like right after the sun had come up, and we were coming off of Col de Fray, and you can see headlamps behind you. And I was like, I swear I didn't see any headlamps behind me coming down. I was like, how did she make up so much time on me? Not that I knew how close she was, but I was like, God, that seems like such a short time for somebody to make up that much time. And it turns out my friend was telling, no, there's a man 2 minutes in front of you. So I booked it from La Folie to Champay-Lac. I passed the one guy who was in front of me, but I didn't even realize that's who I was, like, she told me who I was having. And I get to Champay-Lac, and I was like, where's that woman behind me? She goes, no, there was a man 2 minutes in front of me. I was like, oh, I just put in a lot of effort for...
Well, you made a lot of effort, and I think that was the point you got in the top 10.
Maybe, yes, the kick in the butt I needed.
Now,
so maybe some deception is what's needed to motivate people.
So in the future, if I lie to you during a race, don't get mad afterward. I'm just trying to help you out.
Yes. Well, my friends did lie to me and tell me that somebody was closer to me for the last climb because they knew I was slowing down. I totally believed them. So it's a mental thing. It works. So
did you ever... Obviously, it is nice catching people later in the race. Like, it just shows you're doing well.
Yeah. I think towards the end of the races, though, I get so focused on myself and just figuring out, like, how to manage your time and your threshold for pain to get to the finish that eventually kind of stop caring about other people around you. It's not so much of a motivating factor as it's just like, how do I get to the finish as fast as possible?
So you weren't thinking about, like, being in the top 10 overall or any of that?
No, not really, because to be anywhere even like in the top 20 is, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I've never been in the top 20, I don't think, for anything. Yeah. So, no, I'm not really thinking about it. And
did you have any sense that you were just obliterating the fastest women's time ever here?
No, I didn't look at my watch. I never really look at my watch. I don't think I looked at it till Valersteen. So I didn't really know what time it was. I mean, I could kind of gauge what time it was, like when the sun was coming up. I was like, okay, it must be around 6:30ish now, kind of thing. But no, and I didn't know what the women's course. I didn't know that before. But I kind of feel like it's kind of hard to compare years.
The course does change.
The course changes. Weather makes a huge difference. Like this year was pretty ideal. So.
But it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's pretty.
It was a good day.
And compared to the guys.
But over 100 miles, that's really not that much per mile if you break it down that way.
2 hours or 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's a long time. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm not going to try to do math right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do keep a really positive, great attitude out there. You were having fun out there?
I was having so much fun. I thought, it was so great. There was like a great little cheering section of like you and Megan. And it was like and all the North Face crew and everything. It was like, I felt like we saw them more this year than last year or something. The aid stations just seemed like they were filled with people that you recognized and knew. And
I think there's more time to get to them.
Yeah, that must have been it. So it felt like I saw all my friends a lot more frequently, which is a total boost. And then like everybody over here just is so enthusiastic, like all the spectators and everybody. It's infectious, and I totally feed off that energy. So it was good.
I didn't hear any jokes. You need to learn some jokes in French or Italian.
I totally do. I had one of my friends. I was like, I saw him at one aid station. I was like, okay, the next one I need a joke, and so he told me a really good dirty one. I'm not going to say it here.
Say that for after you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was great. Yeah.
What was your favorite moment from the day?
There were, I just felt I had, it was one of those days where, it does not happen very often, where things just kind of click into place and you just feel like things are flowing well, and that you can kind of just keep moseying along. And things are a little bit more effortless compared to other times, and this does not happen a lot. Things have to align, right? So there were a lot of really good moments running with certain people, and just the scenery. I love it. I really did like the sunrise coming into Lawfully. It was just a beautiful morning. It was just beautiful, and it was like there was kind of mist coming up, and you just come off the coal, and that was I can remember that.
There was that rock face.
It's just beautiful, and the light was just spectacular. And then climbing out of climbing up to Bovine.
Okay.
Was really pretty views, and I like the section where you're kind of on the plateau above Trayant before you take that hellish downhill into Vallerstein. Running along there, it's kind of flowy, and that's kind of fun.
Can you see over to, I don't know,
you can
over
see
to the right?
Loch Ennison, the reservoir there. You can see that. You can see Martinier, and then you get like the backside of Col de la Baume. So it's really cool views there too. So yeah, I like all of them. It's all very pretty.
It's nice to run that in the daylight.
It is. I wish we could run like the Bonatti Refuge area and Col de Forêt in the daylight a little bit, because that stuff is spectacular.
That was one nice thing a couple years ago in the restart year, or not when they started at 11:30 at night.
I saw pictures from that.
I mean, I was a little slower than you were, obviously, but I got to see Valveni and Forêt in the daylight, which is... It's spectacular. That's why you come over and do the recon.
Exactly.
Or you could do the TDS.
That's true. You could.
Or for the southern part and the CCC for the northern part. But you seem to have got this. Had so far 2 really good runs here at.
I really like the terrain over here. Suits how I like to run, in the sense that I like to hike more than I sometimes. So there was I did a ton of hiking for pretty much all the passes. I hike up all that. In training, I practice running up it, but in the races, I hike all of it, I like that style.
But you're pretty good at running downhill too.
I've gotten better. I definitely last year at this race was an eye opener about how unskilled I was at going downhill. When all these Euros would just come bombing by me, and I'd be like, oh, I'm losing all this time I just made up on the hills. So I definitely did focus more on becoming a better downhill. I still have a ways to go, but
how did you do that? Like what method or what?
I think it's more just training here, and then running with a guy who was my ski coach growing up is really good on the downhills, and so I'll just try and get behind him whenever I run with him. And
back in California.
Back in the States. And then being over here early and being able to practice some of these steep downhills, it's just practice. You just need to get comfortable with it. I'm still not quite there, but definitely helps. It'd
be a nice skill set to transition back to the States.
Yeah, and it's good to learn how to when you're taking steps downhill, so you're not jarring so much and putting so much eccentric load on your thighs. And when you get tired, all that goes out the window, and you're just like, how do I can get down the hill? But it makes a difference. You can tell when you're doing proper running technique if you're sore or not the next day, kind of thing.
You seemed very even in many senses in this year's UTMB. You were consistent, I'd say fluid and smooth in terms of your running, but you're more ebullient, I guess. At some Western states, you come to the aid station, you're telling jokes.
Yeah.
It seemed like you were.
I was pretty even keel.
Yeah.
I was just kind of riding it and got into a good little zone where mentally I was in some good places and wasn't wanting it to end. Sometimes you do those races where you're just I just want it to end. Let me get to the finish. And this I just really enjoyed. Yeah, exactly. lots of races for me. Where I'm okay, let's just get this over with. But I really enjoy running out on this course. So it's you get excited to go to the next part of it. You're I want to see that. So I just tried to maintain a steady pace. So eventually.
Is this the end of your season? Or are you...
I haven't thought about it. I'm going hiking for a couple weeks in Switzerland after this.
More time enjoying Europe?
Because I'm spoiled rotten. But I'll take it. And then I'll think about it. But, I don't know.
Don't worry about it. Like UTMB to come back again?
Probably. Any excuse to get me over here to be able to run, I'll take. So they put on a really good race.
You could probably get back in next year.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. It's easier to get in than some of the races in the States. Because there's 4,000 people doing this race.
Exactly.
Yeah. But only 200 women. There's 2,500 men and 200 women. We need to change that.
Ladies, come on over to Europe. European ladies, come on out.
Yeah, European ladies, come on out. Lots of eligible bachelors out there.
In spandex.
In spandex. Well, gotta check out the merchandise.
Did all your, there's a lot of running, it's obviously the physical and the mental. Did all your equipment and your nutrition plan and all that work out?
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. It was the first time I haven't changed shoes in a race. I stayed in my same kit the whole time. I was totally comfortable, no major issues, which makes a huge difference. I love the pack that I train in. It fits me really well. And then nutrition-wise, I kind of stuck to the prisoner diet of bread and water.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of get to the point where it's like sweet things just aren't cutting it, and lots of bread and potatoes and water.
Not so much the cheese and dark chocolate.
That dark chocolate has like no sugar in it.
No, it's not going to cut it.
Coffee, a lot. I drank probably enough coffee and Coca-Cola to kill a pony with how much caffeine. That's why I couldn't go to sleep last night, because I was like, vibrating home.
You definitely, you were not fully vegan.
You were going to go buy me a cup of coffee, which
and then you said no.
I was like, that was too nice. I was like, coffee? You're like, I'll just go get one.
You needed to wait 15 seconds, but you were on a mission.
I couldn't, man. Well, if
that guy was 2 minutes ahead of me.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a woman 2 minutes behind me, so I was like, better get going. Yeah. Coca-Cola. That's the only time I ever drink Coke is during these races, and it's the real stuff over here.
The real sugar?
Yes.
Oh, we're getting there.
I'm making eyes at a cute runner over there.
Hi, Rory.
Hi, Mike.
Well, I guess that's our cue to wrap things up, unless he needs a little more time to finish his...
He's getting his makeup on.
Oh,
a little more rouge.
This guy's gonna look really good, guys. Ladies. He's out in the mountains. He'll be back.
That's right.
All right, Rory. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Congratulations on a great run.
Thanks for all your coverage and support and everything. Super cool.
Okay, I gotta ask one more question.
Okay.
No bedazzling this year?
No bedazzling, man. I really liked my Western State jersey. I didn't bring my arts and crafts kits over here, and usually my taper week is when I get all my creative stuff done. And so I didn't have any arts and crafts, so I was like, I'm just gonna
sit at a cafe and look at Mont-Blanc.
Exactly, pretty much. So my taper was cut a lot shorter, because I was like, well, I can't do any bedazzling, I might as well go out and run.
There you go. It seemed to work out for you.
Yeah. We'll see.
Thanks.